Yo, howdy. Alright, welcome to today's episode of Tristan Take Video. I am standing here in the BMC Impec Lab here in Grenchen, Switzerland, and I'm speaking with Etienne, one of the engineers behind the new Fourstroke LT mountain bike. At the moment, it's the start of September, and this bike hasn't been released yet, but we're having a look behind the scenes. I want to show you the bike, we're going to discuss it, and Etienne's going to explain some of the engineering choices behind the BMC Fourstroke LT. So, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Etienne.
Welcome.
I want to ask you first, the LT is a re-release of a previous four-stroke, yeah? You've had the four-stroke as part of your lineup in the past, and now the LT is more of a longer travel version.
In a sense, I mean, the four-stroke family or four-stroke history is goes back to 2005 already, and it has since then been cross-country racing bike. And I mean, this now is the latest generation of this bike. So even the short travel version hasn't been released yet. So everything will be released, revealed at the same moment.
Can you tell me a bit about this frame, just in terms of some basic specs?
Frame-wise, I mean, it's a full carbon, full suspension bike. We have a carbon front triangle, carbon rear triangle. So it's a virtual pivot system, which we have with a lower link and the upper link, which is actually allowing us to tailor the suspension behavior of the bike.
When you say to tailor it, you mean to a specific style of performance. Is this something that pedals really well while still absorbs bumps going downhill? Is that what you're always aiming for?
Let me say you cannot have the perfect bike. It's always a trade-off between what you want to optimize versus what is maybe less important to you, or if you optimize something and you lose something on the other hand. And of course, I mean, in the XC world, let's say, where pedaling efficiency is very important, it's for sure something you want to optimize, like something which is really important. Same goes for stiffness of the rear triangle. You want to have a really good power transmission to the back wheel. You also want, when you pedal, to have the back wheel that is planted to the ground, that is sticking to the small bumps, and so you want kind of a sensitive suspension for small bumps absorption. Yep. But then on the other hand, you also wanted to have it capable in the descents. So yeah, as I said, it's really what you want to optimize and what is maybe you can accept as a trade-off during the development.
So you're always looking for this balance in a mountain bike. I mean, I guess it's similar to on the road where you're looking for stiffness versus weight. Here, you're looking not so much at weight, but more probably performance downhill versus performance uphill.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, of course, weight is really important in XC. I mean, we wouldn't do a full carbon frame if we didn't care about weight. It would be cheaper.
We have the technology these days to do this. And then you've got 120 mils of suspension on the rear and on the front.
Correct.
And then in terms of the way the pivot system is set up here, you've got this sort of horizontal pivot rather than a vertical pivot, vertical suspension setup.
Yeah. So actually the main driving point for this, which is really new to BMC. I mean, if you look at all our previous bikes, we had this vertical shock setup, and now we moved to the horizontal one. And the main driving points being that we want to fit two bottles in the frame.
Interesting.
So as you can see here, we have like this mounting options for the bottle. If you run just one bottle, you can have it in the middle, two bottles for every size. I mean, from XL to S, you can run to 500 millimeter.
Wow. And then let's talk a bit more about the carbon itself, things like all the bonding and everything around the seat tube. Is this a monocoque frame or is this multiple tubes?
So the front triangle is a full monocoque construction, so it's just one piece molded in one step. The rear triangle is made of several different parts. I mean, one reason being because of difficult to manufacture parts or regions like dropout, which is quite hard to make or even impossible to make in a monocoque construction. And also, I mean, we have here, I think it's 3 pieces. We have like the chainstays, one piece, seat stay, and also this part here. And then they're bonded together, and there's some processing after this going on.
So then what, with the rear triangle here, how is it different to the older version? What have we changed? What have you changed for this newer version with the LT?
The main change, I would say, is actually these two reinforcements, where we have two here, symmetric design, and on the older version we have it just one of these reinforcements. Yeah, to me, looks much nicer.
Looks cleaner. It looks really, really nice and simple there. Asymmetrical design, I guess, also because you had to make that bar quite big because it was asymmetric. There was only one of them.
Correct.
Did that mean that there's a weight saving with the new design?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, calculation-wise, we are simulation we did in the beginning of the project. The new design is lighter, as well as also stiffer laterally.
Oh, the perfect combination.
Yeah, of course.
So lighter and stiffer in the rear end there. And that's pedaling stiffness. And when you're saying stiffness in a mountain bike, what are you really looking for as an engineer?
I mean, it's all about, like the rear triangle, let's say it's more power transmission.
Okay.
So be as efficient as possible, as little flex as possible. And then maybe on the front end, it's also different because there it's about the steering, so steering precision, steering confidence. I mean, I wouldn't say the stiffer the better, but at some point, if you're too stiff, maybe the bike gets, I don't know, too nervous, too harsh.
Yeah.
But also you need a certain stiffness in order to have like this confident steering, cornering.
Yeah, in mountain biking, bike handling is such a massive part of it. I mean, obviously on the road it is as well. But mountain biking, when you're hitting bumps coming from all different directions, there's a lot of unknown factors, so it's super important to have a lot of handling capability. Okay, cool. So we've talked about the monocoque frame and the rear end. Just tell me quickly about the geometry of this frame. Firstly, has it changed at all from the old one? And also, what's the focus with this bike in terms of the geometry and the head angle and the rear end and things like that?
Yeah, well, a lot of questions at once.
Yeah, a lot of information.
So I would say like on the rear end, there hasn't changed much. I mean, kind of BMC DNA on XC race bikes are the short chainstay, fairly short chainstays on this bike.
So that's quite a BMC thing. I mean, obviously we don't have another bike to compare to, but BMC's always had a focus on a shorter rear end,
Yeah.
more aggressive geometry, yeah?
Exactly. So the short rear end is helping a lot, like the maneuverability of the rear of the bike. Like it's quite agile, I would say. And then, like for the rest of your question, the front, I would say what we changed mainly is on one hand the head tube angle, which I think BMC is quite on the progressive side of things. Already on the previous four-stroke, we were I think around the head angle of 67, and now we went even slacker on the LT version. We are around 66.5.
So that 66.5 degrees linking in with the dropper seat post, linking in with the rear end, means that it's a really aggressive bike when you want it to be, but also it's really pedalable if you need to get up climbs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for the ST, like the racing version, this was really the plan. And then on the LT version, which is a little bit slacker, it's also, yeah, for enjoying more the downhill, to feel more secure, to be able to maybe charge more with the front wheel, which, I mean, it's just more confidence inspiring to have the front wheel, which is a little bit further out.
Super fun, playful bike, hey?
Exactly.
That's the aim. Cool, so that's all about the frame, the LT frame. Let's go into a couple of the components that you guys have chosen for this bike. So I notice you've got Fox suspension, front and rear. It's 120 mils?
Correct. So front we have a 120 mil fork, the new Stepcast 34 Fox fork. And the back also, I mean, it's 120 mil, but the actual shock is 190 by 45 Fox.
Okay. And then let's talk about the seat post, because I know that's something that's really on a lot of people's minds. On the short travel bike, the seat post is an oval seat post, and it's got the auto drop. Auto drop is BMC's proprietary dropper seat post system. It's got about 80 mils of drop in the short travel bike. In the long travel bike, they're actually running just a regular round seat post as opposed to an oval seat post. And what this means is you can put in a third-party seat post if you want to and get that extra bit of drop out of it. The reason they've done that with the LT over doing it with the short travel bike is that the LT is going to be used for some more extreme riding because it's got longer suspension. You can take steeper downhills, and so you want more drop in the seat post at the rear, and that allows for going down really steep descents. You can get off the back of the bike and feel really confident. That's a lot of talk for me to say, but I know these things. Let's ask Etienne. Tell me a bit about this seat post in terms of it's an electronic system.
Yeah, right. I mean, you said almost 95% of it. Yeah, as you said, it's a round seat post, 31.6 millimeter standard, like the most standard seat post you can find. And as you said, I mean, this is the LT limited version of the bike. It runs full electronic, so a seat post is the RockShox IXS.
It's got a small battery under there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no cable actually running from the cockpit, from the lockout lever, dropper lever to the seat post. Everything is wireless.
Wow.
Same is for the gearing, for the drivetrain. We have the XO1 IXS drivetrain, which is also wireless. All in all, actually, I really like it because it makes up for a very, very nice cockpit in the front. You just have the 2 brake lines, and I think this is something of the cleanest you can have.
It's super nice and clean in the front end there. It's something that mountain bikes these days are kind of almost going the way of road bikes in terms of less cables, more aerodynamics, and a cleaner look in the front end there, which is, I agree, it looks super, super nice. So that's all about the frame and the bike and the components. The thing that I'm wondering about is the tire width. So on this, even though it's a 120mm bike, you're running a 2.4 inch tire?
Yeah, correct. I mean, we have a 2.4. That's actually the maximum clearance we have, front and back. It's 2.4 inch.
You mentioned down country before as a term.
Yeah.
Do you put that size tire on there just to give people all the options? They can race the thing if they want to, but they can also go almost downhilling?
We're maybe a bit further away from downhill racing, let's say, but I mean, the spec out of the box is actually a bigger tire, a little heavier, a little knobbier than what we would actually find on a pure XC racing machine. So Here we went for 2.4 back and front. I mean, the tire roll well, but they have more grip for the downhill part. I mean.
Yeah, cool. So if you're looking for a bike that's like what I'm looking for, which is, I live in Girona, I'm riding in Girona, Spain, where it's kind of aggressive cross country, and then I'm going off to Morocco to race the Atlas Mountain Race, which is like aggressive gravel racing. I feel like that's probably going to be a good tire size. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for sure, Girona, I think I've been there last year. It's really nice, and I think it's quite rocky now and sharp rocks, and I think it's a good tire choice to ride uphill there and then also enjoy the downhill stuff. Yeah, and same for Atlas. I mean, it's probably, you could go lighter, taking a bit more risk of punctures, and I mean, in the end, you just want also a tire, I guess, for this kind of races where you can be sure that it's resistant, it's rolling well, that you don't have to fiddle around with punctures, repairs, new tires during the race. So it's not just about the size of the tire itself, it's also about the whole casing of the tire, the internals. Like, I mean, the casing defines your puncture protection. You could ride a DH tire, and I think it would probably take you, I don't know,
it'd take me an
4
extra
weeks
day
to complete the race.
Okay, so final question for Etienne before we wrap this up. Tell me, have you ridden this bike?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
do you get to test the bike?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is one nice thing of being an engineer at BMC. This is when you develop your bike, you get to ride it, and probably one of the nicest things when you sit, I don't know, month after month in front of the computer, you design the bike together with the design team, and then suddenly the postman comes, delivers a parcel, you get the first frame. It's like Christmas, and then you assemble the bike, you ride it. I mean, I've been riding mine now since almost a year.
A year?
So it's exactly the same bike, same setup.
And so that must feel so good to develop it over so long and then get to ride it.
I mean, at some point it gets too long, but
you just want it out there.
You just want it out. You want also people to ride it, to test it, and I mean, I'm super happy to see it. Also, the artwork team did a great job on the design.
I met Adrian earlier. He did.
Exactly.
He
Yeah,
was-
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It's a new graphical concept which I approve.
And then I had another question. That wasn't my last question. Tell me, how long did it take from when you were like, okay, we're going to redesign the LT through to having the bike on the stand like you have it today? How long has that process taken?
So I mean, this bike has been developed very closely together with the XC bike. So there, the work has started somewhere in when was it? I mean, there has been a months that have been invested in building like we call this a Franken bike. Like take an old frame, cut it, glue it together. We also involved our pro team. We have the pro mountain bike team that has ridden it, given its feedback. We did measurement loops with power meter and all that kind of stuff. And I think this started, when was it? We are now in 2022, September. So I started designing, I mean, drawing the bike. It was 2020. No, it was 21. I started designing 21. So the whole pre-work actually already started like in summer 20.
So it's been 2 entire years to develop this bike and the short travel bike.
Yeah.
Well, we have the finished product here. It looks sick. I just want to say a massive thank you to Etienne for explaining all of this. I learned a few things that I didn't know about the bike and about BMC as well. Thank you so much for showing me the bike and explaining it all.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next episode soon. Adeu.